Hello, Mustang fans, and welcome to another edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm your host, Kelly Loft, here at Studio One and at smsumustangs.com. An interesting show coming up as we talk Mustang basketball. We'll look back at last week's two games versus Bemidji State and Minnesota Duluth. We'll preview the final game of the regular season against Minnesota State Mankato, and we'll try to figure out where the Mustangs will be in the NSIC tournament starting up at the end of February and into March as the Mustangs look toward that NSIC tournament championship and try to make the NCAA regional tournament. And joining us, as always, is the head coach, Brad Bigler, and lots to talk about on this week's show. And obviously, last weekend, a very exciting day at the RA facility. Exciting weekend, I should say. Mustangs lose a heartbreaker to Bemidji State, 79-78. But bounce back and beat Minnesota Duluth 90-69. So the Mustangs now 15-10 overall and 14-7 in the NSIC, and right now in fourth place in the conference standings. And we'll talk about what all that means here shortly. But Coach, an interesting weekend to say the least. A great college basketball game on Friday against Bemidji State, a team playing very well right now and has a chance to win the conference, as do the Mustangs. But down to the wire, you get a basket with a few seconds to go. You think you might win. Bemidji runs a play, gets an unbelievable shot. It goes in. You lose, but bounce back and get a win on Saturday. How about the emotions from the weekend?
Yeah, and when you talk about emotions, I think we full circle, especially with regards to Friday night. But give Bemidji credit. I thought Bemidji was played very well. They made the plays they needed to win that game, obviously with that last shot. But there's a lot of other plays during that second half where they were making out the hustle plays rather than we were. And just give them credit. Coach Bowen took advantage of the moment when the clock stopped, huddled them up, had them organized, and we can kind of talk about that later with the timeout and everything. But yeah, very good team, and they're going to be a tough team to beat when it comes to postseason play.
Well, again, the Mustangs ranked 6th in the regional rankings that came out last Wednesday. This week, Wednesday, there'll be another rankings announced, and the Mustangs probably be right around that same position. But the Mustangs do lose to Bemidji, who was ranked 8th, 79-78. As you mentioned, a last-second three-pointer put in by Jermaine Crockrell gave the Beavers the win after William Giddings had a basket with 2.3 seconds to go to give the Mustangs a 1-point lead. Saturday night, the Mustangs bounce back, jump out to a 50-28 halftime lead over Minnesota Duluth. The Bulldogs came back, got up to within 5, but the Mustangs pulled away and won by 21 points. And Coach, it's probably, maybe got a little bit too close for comfort there in the second half, but you knew they'd make a run. The Bulldogs, they did, but you guys were able to weather that storm, go on a 9-1 run after that, and put the game away. And
Duluth showed what they're capable of doing. Offensively, they averaged number 1 in our conference with over 80-some a game, and they're capable of putting up points in a hurry, and they did that in the second half. It was good to see our guys respond and to be able to close out the game like they did.
Well, again, Mustangs shooting-wise, very well on the weekend, 54% against Bemidji State, 52% against Minnesota Duluth, and you guys continue to shoot at a high clip, and that's great to see. Defensively, though, Bemidji shoots 53%. Duluth only at 45. At a while there, they were shooting very high in the second half. But, obviously you're doing very well offensively, but the key is making some stops on the defensive end.
Especially against Bemidji in that second half. We talked earlier about hustle plays. They were able to get some offensive rebounds, and with those offensive rebounds, they knocked down some threes. Just being able to finish possessions, that's something that if you want to be a championship caliber team, you have to be able to do, especially in that second half. And Bemidji State on Friday night took full advantage of us not being able to get a stop. 57% obviously is not going to get it done.
And the big key, and we've talked about this, off the show as well, with the three-point shot. Bemidji 9-4 advantage at three-pointers in the game Saturday. SMSU 9-2 advantage in three-point shot. Coach, this is kind of off the subject of these games, but is that kind of how it is now in all of basketball? I mean, whoever makes more three-pointers more often than not is going to win the game. Now, the last few weeks, that's really been different. The Mustangs haven't made that many threes, but we're still winning basketball games because of getting some great looks. But if a team's red hot from three-point range, they're almost impossible to beat.
And you'll see that with University of Minnesota State Moorhead, who they're a team that shoots a lot of threes, and you possibly could say that with them. When they're making threes, they're very difficult to beat. with us, our team, we're capable of knocking down threes, but we focus a lot on trying to get action to the rim. We want to beat people at the foul line. That's the thing that we try to take advantage of. If we can make more free throws than our opponent's attempt, we feel like we're going to set ourselves up for success.
Yeah, and against Bemidji State, Mustangs, 18 of 27 from the line. You got to the free throw line, and that's what you needed. You just didn't make as many as you'd like, and 17 of 20 against Minnesota Duluth. And Mustangs, a team coming into the weekend ranked 11th in the nation in free throw shooting, and just missed some critical ones in that game against Bemidji State. And not only, there were a few late, but those early in the game free throws come up just as much as well, because instead of having that 5 or 6 or 7 point lead, the lead staying at 3 or 4, and that's those are big possessions, even early in the game.
Yeah, in that second half, the missed free throws, but also we had 5 missed layups in the second half versus Bemidji. And when you look at that, though we control our own destiny. If we make 3 of those layups, it's a completely different ball game. And so yeah, there's a lot of things that we can get better at, and hopefully we get another chance to play Bemidji in the postseason.
Well, again, the Mustangs split on the weekend, losing to Bemidji State by a point, but bouncing back and beating Minnesota Duluth. We're going to look at those highlights shortly, but let's talk about the Bemidji State game, Coach. The final seconds, let's kind of go through what happened and your thoughts of the decisions that you went and your coaching staff elected to do. Bemidji ties it with a couple of free throws late in the ball game by James Ellisor. You come down. Let's talk about the play. Maybe it wasn't executed exactly how you wanted it to be, but great job by Tremel Barnes to have patience and found a wide open William Giddings. And talk about that play, and then we'll stop and go from there.
Yeah, I think, and in those situations, you try to keep it simple. We had about 15, 16 on the clock, something like that. We got the ball in Jordan's hands, and we just did a simple 2-man game. They hard showed on the ball screen. Jordan could have came back to Nick, who was open, but elected to make the pass to Tremel, who kind of came around and as you'll see on the film, finds Will Gidding and cutting the backside, throws it up for a little bit of a lob, and Will goes and finishes it. But I think that's where you see at the end of the games, more times than not, players have to be able to make plays, and that's where Tremel made a play and Will made an athletic finish.
He did finish. That gave the Mustangs a 78-77 lead. The clock did not stop after the basket, so the officials, as they're supposed to do, they got together and they elected to put 2.3 on the clock. And there was a lot of confusion at that moment. Obviously, Bemidji did not have any timeouts, so they would have had to inbound the ball within 5 seconds after that hoop. Who knows what would have happened? They still could have made a shot, and the way the ball went in, who knows? They might have still. But there was confusion. Bemidji huddles up, and then you elect to call a timeout because just to kind of settle your guys. Your thoughts on that?
Well, coming out of the chaos, I'm just going to call it chaos. Coming out of the chaos, both teams made some adjustments with personnel, and I know when we went on the floor, there was a lot of confusion on our guys' faces about matchups and how to defend. And right as they were going to hand the ball in, we had a timeout. I figured we had to make sure everyone's on the same page. I think, like you said, when they were huddled up, Coach Bowen was drawing up a play in that huddle while the officials were talking to the scorekeeper. So they had something, maybe not the exact play that they ran, but they had something organized that they were going to do, and probably getting Crockwell the ball as well. I guess if I were sitting here and we wouldn't have taken a timeout and they would have thrown it deep and they would have beat us on a play where we weren't organized, I would have been kicking myself a lot more than making sure that our team's organized and make them shoot a shot that, at least all of our guys are on the same page.
Yeah, of course. After the timeout, the Beavers get it was a great play executed by the Beavers. Crockwell got it running, perfect stride. He caught it, made the turn around the corner, and it comes down to, again, no matter what happens before or after, they made a play. The guy made a shot. It was probably could run that play 100 times and might not make it again. Throws it up with his left hand. He is left-handed, and it hits the front of the rim and bounces in. Just an incredible finish. And we've had some great wins as well, but it seems like the tough losses stand out a little bit more. But it seems like that's happened a few times at the RA. But you give Bemidji State credit. They're having a very good season, and plays like that, make them where they are right now in the conference.
And they're a very difficult matchup with Ellisor inside, and then the talent that they surround him with, the unique skill set of their post being able to shoot. Bryce Tesdall is a unique matchup at the point guard spot where he's very versatile, can post up, very good with the ball in his hands. So yeah, they have a lot of guys who can play, and they've been a tough matchup for us so far this year.
And of course, the play before that, Mustangs offensively had a 2-point lead, and the shot clock winding down, and we launched a 3-pointer that did not go in. And so there's a lot of different plays, as you mentioned, about not getting certain stops and whatnot, because those plays add up, and that was really the difference. I mean, the possession before, we could have maybe put the game away with a basket.
Yeah, and that's where, again, at the end of that shot clock, we went to the same kind of two-man game, and probably could have made a different read, but Will Giddings ended up with the ball, and with 4 seconds on the shot clock, he had to force up a shot, and he knocked down a shot about 2 possessions prior, so it's not like that was probably a terrible shot by Will Giddings, but who knows, we could have maybe got some better action to the rim.
Well, the Mustangs finished with 4 players in double-figure scoring, 17 for Nick Smith. He also had 5 rebounds, 11 points for Lavion West. He was 5 of 5 from the field in the game, and 13 each for William Giddings and Jordan Miller. And in the contest, Coach, first possession, 3-pointer knocked down by Jordan, becomes the 17th player in school history to score 1,000 points. Pretty impressive accomplishment by the junior from Mitchell, South Dakota.
Yeah, Jordan, like I said in the postgame, he's been a big part of this program. Very thankful that he's only a junior. We still have a lot of big basketball games with him in a Mustang uniform, and very fortunate that he chose to be a Mustang and is committed to being one of the hardest workers on our team.
Well, again, the Mustangs, after that loss, had to bounce back on Saturday against Minnesota Duluth, and that was a big question, I'm sure, for a lot of Mustang fans, was how the team would react, and boy, did they react in a positive way. Mustangs shoot 57% in the opening half and jump out to a 50-28 halftime lead, and there was about a 5-minute stretch there, Coach, and we'll see some of the highlights where we were just on fire offensively and just had our way every time down the floor.
Yeah, and it was the finish of the first half. We started off actually fairly slow, and with about 13 minutes, I think we only had about 15 points. So that last 13 minutes, we scored 35 points, and a lot of guys making a lot of plays, very unselfish, had quite a few assists on the night, so we were scoring on high percentage shots, and just a pretty good overall effort that first half.
Yeah, Miller finished the night scoring 24 points for SMSU. Had a huge first half that gave you that big lead. Casey Susanguth, 12 off the bench, 11 for Trent Carlson, 14 for Smith, and 10 for Zager. Another balanced scoring night for the Mustangs, and it was senior night, final home regular season game for 3 Mustang seniors, and able to get all of them in there late, able to get most of them a basket in the last minute, and they got to come out of the game as well and get a great round of applause from the home crowd.
And the night was it was a great finish to the night, being able to get those guys on the floor, and to see Dawson Jones score in his last, well, potentially his last, going into the night, potentially his last home game, and then for Trent and Casey to put on a pretty good show as well. Trent knocking down some threes, and Casey was very effective throughout the night as well.
Yeah, Susanguth 6 of 8 from the field off the bench, and Carlson 3 of 6. As you mentioned, Mustangs led 50-28 at halftime. Minnesota Duluth came back, got it to within 5 points with about 9:47 to go in the game, but a 9-1 run by the Mustangs put the lead back up to double digits, and they never looked back in picking up the win, 90-69, and an important one. It keeps the Mustangs right there in the top half of the conference home playoffs, the NSIC tournament, a number 4 seed right now if the season ended, but still one big game coming up this Saturday against Minnesota State Mankato, and we'll look at all those scenarios here later on in the show. But let's take a look at some of the highlights from this past weekend. We start off with the game against Bemidji State against the Beavers last Friday, and the Mustangs start up here. Here's the 3-pointer for Jordan Miller, getting his 1,000th point, Coach.
Then just followed up, Matt Zager, Nick Smith finding Zager on the backside. See here, we'll work it in. Casey was very effective all night just with his post moves. Again, just keeping guys off balance and taking good angles.
There you see Lavion West finds Bernard Birch, who really opened up that game this year, taking those outside jumpers, and he drills the 3. And now on the defensive end, Coach.
And I think this is something where this is where our press has been hurting people. It's not necessarily always the traps and the stuff in the we're on our side of the court, but more so when we get to the other side of that court, just their confusion in their offense, getting them out of rhythm. And here's just a couple of examples of us and our pressure affecting the way they play.
Matt Zager finds Nick Smith for the dunk. Nick again, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 of 10 shooting. Zager with the layup and 1.
Another example, and this one you'll see here, sometimes our matchups get a little bit different. You'll see Jordan Miller making this play right here, getting the steal, getting the dunk. On this one, you'll see Bernard Birch guarding Elliser, which is a matchup we probably would prefer not to have, but sometimes those matchups will present stuff like this where Elliser's not used to having a guard like him up into him, and he'll try to make a play and he'll throw the ball away, trying to get rid of it.
Turnovers 14 for BSU. In the contest, SMSU with 10 turnovers. Here's William Giddings with another dunk. Pretty easy play for him. Just goes up, slams it home. Seems like one a game for Giddings. Here's a steal by the Mustangs, and they take advantage of it with Smith posting up, finding Giddings. They rotate it farther on in the corner, and then Zager gets it to Smith for the layup. Mitch and Lavion West, 5 of 5 in the game, finished with 11 points, and here's a couple of back-to-back baskets for the junior.
And Zags with the finish first, and then
as I said first, yeah, there we go. Zager, and then here's the West baskets, the top of your screen.
Great take by Lavion. Just going right at Elliser, getting to the rim, and 1.
Great to see. He's tough to guard when you see him there give up the basketball, unselfish play, set a couple of screens, get the ball back, and again, there's patience, and you get rewarded with the basket. There's Casey Susangu taking a charge for the Mustangs.
Just another good example of our press, getting them out of rhythm, forcing them to do stuff that they normally wouldn't do in the half court. Casey steps up, takes the charge, and we're going the other way.
Again, Miller became the 17th player to score 1,000 points. He gets a layup on that possession. And then Nick Smith, here we go in the second half. Mustangs led by 5 at half.
Great find by Matt Zager. Just had a nice little spin and find of Nick. Very unselfish play right there.
Carlson had 1 basket in the ball game. This one a floater from just inside the free throw line. Mustangs just 4 3-pointers in the game, and here's one of them by Miller at the top of the key. Long range. And again, you see the Mustangs just moving the basketball, unselfish, getting some layups. And there's a drive by West. And here's another layup. Zager finding Susanguth underneath.
Great find and great finish by Casey with the going through the contact.
Tramel Barnes drawing a foul on that drive. And then a steal by Tramel. And then getting ahead for a layup to Giddings.
And that's where, in the second half, we were able to put some more pressure on them and get back to doing what we do in the full court. And there you see Bernard Birch getting the steal and the bucket.
And Bernard playing through an injury and able to tough it out here at both games. Good to see. A great pass into Nick Smith. And the Mustangs creating a turnover. And this was a big part of the game now where the Mustangs were coming back into this one. And huge turnover by the Mustangs here, forced against Tesdall, one of the top point guards in the league.
And this is very uncharacteristic of Tesdall, who had 5 turnovers in the game. Normally he's one of the best assist-to-turnover ratios in the conference. But again, with our pressure, sometimes we're able to get after people like that. And I guess we showed it as well against Tesdall.
West with a good take. Here's Giddings posting up, going against Elliser, who had 4 fouls. Gets that one to go down. And then here's another West basket.
Good
in the end one.
A good finish by Lavion, being able to get to that rhythm and get in that paint and go up and balance and score.
Here's a big 3, gave the Mustangs the lead by Giddings. And then Smith, with the game tied, goes in and adds another bucket for the Mustangs. And then Giddings again gave Southwest a 2-point lead with that tough hit. And then here is the final possession. Mustangs with the game tied. And you'll see Giddings wide open underneath. And that's ends that ball game. Mustangs go up by a point. We don't need to see what happened next. But unfortunately, Mustangs not able to win that ball game. There was somewhere around 1.8 is when we looked at in the clock, 1.8 left in the game. And the officials saw 2.3 somewhere, so probably is a tough play for them to decide as well, and that gave the Beavers enough time to come down, hit a 3 at the buzzer, and they win 79-78. So had to bounce back. Game started at 6 o'clock, so a couple hours earlier than normal. But how was the walkthrough during Saturday morning, where the guys kind of moved past that, or what did you address to the team on Saturday morning?
Well, going into it, just wanted to make sure I let them know that they played well against Bemidji. I watched that game that morning, and after you watch the game, it was a heck of a ball game. Bemidji played well, we played well. Both of us had opportunities to win the game, and both of us made big plays at the end of the game. And so, just to give Bemidji respect, I wanted to make sure that our guys knew that they're a very talented team, that we have nothing to hold our heads on, and let's just not allow that loss to make us going in the wrong direction and get back to momentum on Saturday night, and that's what we did versus Duluth.
Well, the Mustangs bounced back and took on the Bulldogs from UMD, and they win 90-69. Let's take a look at the highlights from Saturday night's game at the RA facility. We start off first half, Mustangs in the gold uniforms, and Jordan Miller gets the Mustangs going with the long-range 3 off an assist from Birch. And then Matt Zager gets in the action. Tough spin.
Tough spin and finish, and that's been a go-to with Matt. Just that finish. You see here Casey Susanguth coming in and sparking us. Again, we started off the first half slow. We were not necessarily on the same rhythm as far as offensively. You see here, not a very good shot, but then we come back and Love gets an offensive rebound. I thought at times early in the game we were playing a little bit too much one-on-one. Got back to sharing the basketball. You see here Tremel Barnes knocking down a shot at the end of the shot clock.
And then Trent Carlson drawing a foul at the top of the key with the ball.
And good screen by Nick, good find by Love, and good take by Trent.
And he was able to knock down both free throws. Doesn't get to the line very often, but made them both. Giddings with the basket, and then drilling a 3. He's at the bottom of your screen. Sets up and hammers his only 3 of the night. Mustangs 9 of 18 from long range in the game. Great cut to the basket for Zager. And you see a lot of assists here in this second game of the weekend. Miller with back-to-back 3s and then a 2-point field goal as well. And he really felt it in this first half with 18 first-half points on 7 of 9 shooting.
And when you make shots like that, you make it look easy. Our offense, in all honesty, wasn't clicking like the score indicated, but when you make shots, it makes it look a lot better.
Susanguth with back-to-back baskets. On that one with Lavion West really creating his own hoop, spinning. Here's another assist, Miller to West. And then Jordan again. Great backdoor find. And this is how you shoot 57%. We have to look at some of the numbers, but the last 6 games or so for the Mustangs, that's 12 halves. They've really shot at a high percentage, almost over 50%, at about maybe even going farther back, over 9 of the last 10 halves or so.
Good finish by Jordan, going hard baseline. And against Duluth, it's important for our shooters to have a big game against Duluth because they play the gap defense, and they will have opportunities to shoot 3s, and it was nice to see Jordan knock those down.
Smith fouled on that play. Susanguth, 6 of 8. Senior from Wilmer, big night. 12 points, 4 rebounds, had 4 assists as well. Did Susanguth. West drawing a foul.
Should probably comment West being a fan favorite. We're wearing the pink shoes on Saturday.
Oh yeah, pink zone. Part of the night with the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. Again, Mustangs finishing the first half very strong. There's an offensive rebound to finish it off. Mustangs lead 50-28 at halftime. Bulldogs came out. You knew they would strong. Here's Nick Smith going against Brett Irvin, the freshman of the year last year in the NSIC. Gets a basket. And Zager, in transition, draws a foul.
Good find by Jordan, and Zag's taking it to the rim aggressively, picking up the foul.
Jamal Barnes playing some big minutes again with both he and Vennard sharing some of the point guard duties. Speaking of Trammell, he'll draw a foul. It's at the top of your screen or right now at the bottom, and he'll drive through the left side of the wing.
And that's been something where he's been able to get the rim at a pretty high level right now. And you see a lot of these clips right now. Trammell is the one that's getting us going in the offense, creating easy opportunities for teammates, and that's what he needs to continue to do.
Saw a Carlson three, a Smith jumper. There's Susan Guth with a fadeaway. And then Zager hitting a three, his only tray of the night, but a big one for SMSU off a pass from Susan Guth, who sets a screen, posts up, finds the ball, and then finds his teammate.
Nice skip, and Matt knocks down that shot. That was a big shot. That gave us the momentum and the confidence to finish the game.
As you mentioned, the Bulldogs got to within 5, but the Mustangs then pulled away. Great find. Trammell just going right to the basket, saw the hoop, finished it off. And then the Mustangs, Jordan Miller, season high, 24 points, pull up from 18, drills it. And then Zager steal and could have hammered this home. Tough play. Aggressive play by the Bulldogs on defense to not give up the basket. Always kind of a dangerous play, but both guys seem fine afterwards. And then here's Giddings with the dunk. Something that's not fine usually is the rim after the ball gets done.
Good find by Jordan. Will just takes it up and makes that look pretty easy.
And finishing off with Nick Smith with a basket. And then the steal by Dalston Jones, who played some big minutes against St. Cloud the week prior, but gets a steal and a basket on his final home regular season game. Misses the three, but didn't go away, and gets the steal and scores. And then Trent Carlson, his final three during the regular season home game, drills a three-pointer. And that was a great way to close out senior night for the Mustangs.
And just very thankful about these seniors. I've said it a few times now. I believe these guys are the glue of this team. Their legacy is more than just basketball. I think all of them do it right in the classroom as well as on the basketball floor, and their personalities and leadership styles have been great for this team.
Well, the Mustangs, again, with the victory, 15-10 overall and 14-7 in the NSIC, and that puts them in 4th place in the conference standings, and we'll be taking a look at those standings here shortly, Coach. So let's take a look at them right now. You look at the top 6, what we have, St. Cloud, a half-game lead over Bemidji, Moorhead as well, half game behind, and we need some help obviously to tie for that conference championship. St. Cloud plays host to Concordia. Moorhead takes on Augie and Wayne at home, and Bemidji has Winona and Upper Iowa at home. But a lot's could happen here in the next couple of days, but next week. But we believe the Mustangs are at home in that first round. Just a matter if it's going to be Winona or Augustana or who else here in the second half.
And we can show you going into more detail of why. With the tiebreaker, the strength of schedule, right now we currently sit with 80 points. We're going to look at Augustana, who has 67 points. Well, mathematically, there is 0 chance that Augustana, even if we were to lose on Saturday and Augustana were to win 2 games, mathematically there is 0 chance that Augustana could catch us with the strength of schedule and the points.
It's kind of an index, points you get for winning on the road and at home and against certain teams, correct?
And that's where right now it's pretty safe to say for us that we will be hosting a first-round tournament game here in Marshall, and we'll need the support of the community and the fan support to get out and to be out at that game.
Yeah, that'll be a Wednesday, February 29th will be the game, 7 o'clock at the RA facility, and that'll be against either, it's still up in the air, it could be against the various teams, but it'll be either Wayne, Winona State, Augustana, could be Minnesota Duluth as well. So be paying attention to smsumustangs.com, and we'll have more information comes Saturday night following the game. Mustangs take on the Mavericks of Minnesota State on Saturday, Coach. It's a 4 o'clock start in Mankato. They've struggled a bit here at the close of this season. They've lost 6 in a row, but it's their final game of the season, so they have lots to play for, and we got a lot to play for as well, including conference and regional rankings.
And when you look at their games, the last however many games, they're usually winning the basketball game at halftime. It's in that second half where they've had some lulls and haven't been able to finish out ball games. But I think they're playing a lot better than what they played the first time against us, with a lot more confidence. A few of those guys, Zach Romashko is playing at a pretty high level, and they have a couple other guys around him who are taking more of a leadership role. So it'll be a tough game on Saturday versus Mankato.
It should be a good one. Mustangs, of course, and the Mavericks playing 4 o'clock Saturday in Minnesota at Mankato on Saturday afternoon. And, of course, the Mustangs will be then at home for the conference first round. The semifinals and finals will be played in Rochester, Minnesota. First time ever the conference has had the semifinals and finals there. And then the regional will be who knows where, but we'll keep you updated on that here in the next few weeks. For the head coach, Brad Bigler, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. Until next time, go Mustangs.